Thank you very much, Reverend Brian Amoatin and your phenomenal team. Thank you for the opportunity of this platform. Distinguished CEOs, my senior, in fact, the CEO who just spoke, he's the boss of all the youth CEOs, so he's my boss. Please, can you stand up for us to give you a special recognition? He is the CEO of the National Youth Authority. Everything youth is under him. My boss, I greet you, sir. And your distinguished deputies, my brother who got me onto this platform, CEO Justin Kodia, he made it possible for me to be here today. Please, he's also a lawyer. Please get up. Let's see you, Justin Kodia. Thank you very much. Thank you. Allow me to address you today as excellencies. And you will understand why I'll call you excellencies by the time I finish talking to you. But before I talk, there's a special person who accompanied me here today, and I want to introduce her to you. She is the apostle of my soul. She is my prayer pillar. And if any of you think that I know how to speak publicly, wait until you hear her one day. Please permit me to say thank you to my distinguished wife, Reverend Apostle Mrs. Lillian Kuma. Thank you, Mommy. You know, politicians, we don't have time, but they always cover our back, our wives. Thank you. Today, I'm here to talk to you about a very simple topic. It's called Dare to Dream. And I know we have come here for empowerment, so make sure you go with something. For nothing at all, remember the theme of my message to you today, Dare to Dream. And I'm going to share with you the life story of a successful president who picked a very poor nation. There were only 2 million people, population. And he dreamed that in 30 years, he will make that country one of the prosperous nations on earth. And trust me, he was 45 years. By the time he was 75 years, this man had indeed transformed Singapore from one of the poorest nations to one of the richest nations on the earth. His name is Lee Kuan Yew. How many of us have heard about Lee Kuan Yew? Thank you. You make my work easy today. Now, one philosophy that he espouses is that every great achievement, every great works on earth was once a dream. So he set out to dream. And in 1965, when Singapore gained independence from the British, they were initially made part of Malaysia. In fact, they were just a simple island made up of 2 million people. They have no arable land. They don't have gold. They don't have manganese. They don't have diamond. They don't have bauxite. All they had was the shores of the sea. And they were fortunate to have oil in commercial quantities. But that was all they had. 2 million people. At 45 years, he said, I will transform this nation in 30 years and make it the most prosperous nation on earth. And do you know that Ghana has visa-free entrance to Singapore? So those of you who want to go there and see what this man has done in 30 years, I encourage you to take advantage. Travel there one day and see what one man's dream did for his country. I am here to encourage you today to also dare to dream. Do you know that we are all nations? And since I am married to an apostle, one of my titles is Asafo Papa. So permit me to quote the Bible today. In Genesis chapter 25, verse 22 and 23, Rebekah was pregnant. And there was a fight in her womb. So verse 22 says that Rebekah inquired of the Lord, why was she struggling with the babies in her womb? And if you read verse 23, God answered him. God answered Rebekah and said, there are two nations. Please remember, if you carry twins, and God refers to them as nations, you will understand what I'm talking about. God told Rebekah that there are two nations in your womb. One will be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. I'm not going to go into what happened, but I want you to take a cue from God when he said there are two nations. What it means is that I am a nation, you are a nation. So, if somebody took a nation called Singapore, and in 30 years, he moved it from poverty with no resources and made it successful and became a prosperous nation, I want to tell you today that you are also a nation. Hello? So if you are head of a nation, you are what? Your Excellency. So, what it means is that all of us gathered in this room, we are a nation and we are the head of the nation that we must build. We don't have an excuse to say we don't have resources, because Lee Kuan Yew has shown us that without resources, we can build a nation and transform it in 30 years and make it prosperous. Now, he did for a whole nation. We are only individual nations. We must reduce his 30 years to 10 years. I'm sure the smart ones among you even do it in 5 years. Hello? Are we going to build prosperous nations here right now? We must beat Lee Kuan Yew. And I'm going to tell you the 4 key things that he used. 4 key things. Without resources. Yes, some of you are saying you don't have money. You don't even have working capital. How can you become successful? How can you be rich? Let me tell you, the reason why you are a nation is that your family is looking up to you. Pastor Brian is building his nation well. That is why he has created this opportunity for you and I to be here to gain knowledge. What nation are you building? What is your dream? What is the dream of your nation? What do you want to achieve in the next 10 years? And remember, if only you can dream it, it can be achieved. Because according to him, every great success in the world was once a dream. So what is your dream, Your Excellency? Please, are you now accepting the title, Your Excellency? So if you are Your Excellency, you must tell me your dream. Dare to dream today. In the next 10 years, you should be able to tell us. And when Pastor Brian was talking, he says that we must build a new Africa, a new Ghana. And his hope is that one day, some of his citizens, you and I, will rise up to become presidents one day. That dream is fulfilled right now. How many presidents do we have right now? Wow, beautiful. Pastor Brian, I think you've achieved your goal already. Now we are the heads of our countries. We are a nation. It's not me telling you. It is God referring to you as a nation. So don't joke with it. If God calls you a nation, it means that he has placed in you the leadership, the responsibility, the resources to make that nation a successful nation. So dare to dream. What is your dream? And I know we may not have enough time to engage individually about how to craft a successful dream. But I'm here to challenge you that whatever you have set out to do, believe that it is possible. If you don't know your dream and you want assistance, you can always talk to me or talk to Pastor Brian or any of the leaders that you engage. But for the meantime, let me take you through how it was possible for one person who believed in his dream of taking a poor, impoverished nation and turning it into a prosperous country in 3 years. First of all, he says that if you don't have resources, like you and I, maybe we don't have enough money, we don't have capital. If you don't have resources, one thing that you must have is superior intelligence. So write it down, superior intelligence. And when we say superior intelligence, what does it mean? It means the education that you have. The schools you went and the certificates you acquired, it is not meant for exhibition. It is supposed to give you superior intelligence in whatever field you want to endeavor into. Superior intelligence. So Lee Kuan Yew said, we don't have land. We don't have gold. We don't have anything. But we want to become one of the biggest in the world. And our population is only 2 million. Even today, after almost 40, 50 years, from 1965 till now, it's over 60 years. Their population is below 6 million people, even now as we speak. And yet, they are one of the financial hubs of the world. They are one of the technological centers of the world. When it comes to infrastructure development or whatever you call development, they are on top of the world. It's just one person's dream. So in our nation that we are also going to build in the next 5 to 10 years, what is our dream? That is what I'm here to challenge you today. Forget about money and resources. He didn't have it, but he did it. You are also a nation. What is your dream? First thing you need is what? Superior intelligence. It's very important to understand who you are, all the knowledge you have acquired in school, and how you can put that to change your circumstances and build a successful nation. So you see, in Ghana, we are saying that we are building a Ghana beyond aid. That's our vision. But you see, you cannot build a Ghana beyond aid without building citizens beyond aid. So when individually we are able to build our nations, our environment and communities beyond aid, Your Excellencies, then we'll be building our nation beyond aid. Do you understand? So the first thing we need, superior intelligence. The next thing he talks about is creativity and innovation. If we don't have the resources, then we have to be creative. We have to make use of the little that we have. Ingenuity. And trust me, everybody has it. Maybe you have not put your own to test. If you don't know it, ask somebody. That was number 2. They were able to build their country on creativity and innovation. So, in your world, in your nation where you are, and Your Excellency, you are the president. Yes, you don't have money in your account, we know. Your certificate is even up to JSS, yes, we know. But in the midst of that, you can build a successful nation if you set a dream and pursue it for the next 10 years. That is what I'm here to tell you. That is what somebody did. And in 30 years, he transformed his country. So we are reducing it because we are smaller nations. We should be able to do it. Superior intelligence, creativity and innovation. And the third most important thing was discipline. Discipline. The youth, please. It is enough to have fun. But beyond the fun, there is a life to live. Your families are dependent on you. Your nation is counting on you. And your world is counting on you to create a better world for the next generation to come. So, discipline. You need to be disciplined. Some of you, when you get 1,000 cedis in your account, unless you finish spending, you are not looking for the next 10 cedis. You know some people are like that. And especially the guys amongst us. We have to call our girlfriend immediately and find out the latest dress or latest iPhone in town where you can go and brag. Please, you must be disciplined with your vision. That is why it's important to have the dream. The dream challenges you to stay on course. If you don't have the dream, then you are just living. Those of you who are presidents with no vision, that is incompetence. You must be competent at your dream. Please, do you understand what I'm trying to say? Your Excellency. How many of you accepted the title Your Excellency? Wow, I have many of you here. So please, you are the excellency of your nation. And God refers to you as a nation. And you are the head of that nation. So somebody did it with no resources. And he did it and was successful in 30 years. I'm giving you the keys. We can also do it at our level. Even if you have no education, it's no excuse. But most of you are privileged to have education. Can you believe the tragedy of Ghana, where school dropouts end up opening businesses in Ghana, and the graduates with first and second degree apply to those school dropouts to give them jobs? Do you know that is the situation in our country? How many of you know about Peace FM? Do you know the owner of Peace FM? How many degrees does he have? But even to read news on Peace FM, do you know how many degrees you must have? Or even to be a receptionist there. So how come those of you who are schooling have no dream? We must change the status quo. We cannot become excellencies with no vision. We must set targets for ourselves that in the next 10 years, when we are talking about successful people in our country and in the world, we are part of it. So discipline is what will take you there. The fourth and final point is networking. Networking. And Lee Kuan Yew talks about when they became independent, the environment or neighbors were so unfriendly to them. Malaysia, China, Japan, South Korea, none of them wanted them to succeed. So one day he said he went to Namibia and met a UNDP staff who has been transferred to Namibia to work there. And his engagement, whilst he was complaining about his neighbors, the UNDP staff in Namibia told him that he must copy from the Israelis, and that Israel is one of the smallest nations in the world, surrounded by 25 enemy nations, and yet they are the most powerful in the world. Quickly he picked a cue, and he said networking. So he forgot about his neighbors, quickly ran to America, he quickly went to Japan, he quickly went to Europe, and said, I have to have new network friends who will come in with investment into my country, and I'll give them opportunities in my country. He went with proposals, with things and opportunities and why they should come into his country and invest. So if your neighbors, if your mother and father are unfriendly to your vision, forget about them. If your friends will only follow you for pizza, forget about them. Leave your neighbors who are fighting your vision, and connect to people, to other nations who have resources to come and build your land for you. You just heard the CEO of the NYA. He's one of the nations you can run to with good proposals. The NEIP boss is talking to you. My office is seeded with $100 million entrepreneurship fund to support your business ideas. Do you have a proposal on your table? But as I speak to you, most of you cannot even engage me and win 1,000 cedis in your investment, because you don't even have the dream in the first place. You are waiting for the money before you start dreaming. It doesn't work like that. The man had a dream. He saw his neighbors were a problem, and his networking, he quickly ran to Europe and to the US. And as I speak to you, he was able to attract multinational corporations into Singapore. And within this shortest time, I'm telling you, they are one of the best in the world. I'm also telling you today, if your mother and father and friends and relatives are becoming a stumbling block to your dream, I hope you have the dream, Your Excellency. Move beyond them and network and invite resources into your nation. And trust me, if you make good friends, good family, if you use the potentials of your family, and it's not every nation that have bad neighbors. Some even have good neighbors. Some of you have good neighbors. What I'm trying to say is that some of you have good background that you can even tap to as an advantage. So, networking. I was in Bahrain early part of this year. Bahrain is the third smallest country in the world. Their population is 1.6 million people. Bahrain. In the world currencies, they spend dinari, Bahrainian dinaris. It is the second highest currency in the world. 1.6 million people. The whole Bahrain, you can use Manama, their capital city. and the whole country. In 2 hours, you can use your car and run throughout the whole country. 2 hours. In fact, it's an island. The only way you enter Bahrain is by flight. The only road, because there's sea all around the country, there is no farming land. The only exit from Bahrain into any other country is 25-kilometer bridge on the sea into Saudi Arabia. Can you imagine? So they are cut off from the world, no land, no bauxite, no gold. All they have is what? A dream. And they have oil in commercial quantities. Singapore had oil in commercial quantities. Now back to our country. We are so blessed. Your Excellencies, I think maybe God loves us so much that he spoiled us. Maybe. Because when you visit some of the nations and you look at what they have and what they have done, then you begin to ask yourself, what is happening to us? What is happening to us? But you see, before you rush to condemn your government, ask yourself, you are number one nation. What have you done? How can you change your circumstances so that it can reflect in the national dream that we all want to change? I am here to encourage you that we can make a difference in our country. And as I was talking to you about Bahrain, the highest currency in the world is Kuwait dinari. You need, in fact, when you get to Bahrain, you need $2.60 before you can get 1 BD. $2 plus 60 pence, almost $3 before you can get 1 Bahrainian dinari. That's a small country. And they ask you, if you want to buy something and you have dollar, they take it. If you have pounds, even if you have cedi, they will take it. So those of us in Ghana who are making noise because we spend dollar here, it's not the point. Let's have a dream and build a solid nation that others can run to. Let's be disciplined and let's network properly. Let me talk to you again on networking. Because of their circumstance, Bahrain is so friendly to their neighbors. Do you know one of the tallest buildings in their country? It was built by the king of Saudi Arabia and given to Bahrain for $1. The tallest building could cost like $100 million. But because of what? Networking. They get other people to come into their country, invest big time. So, before you can do all this, you must have a dream to convince other people. And so, I thank you all for the opportunity to talk to you this afternoon. And I believe, Your Excellencies, that before you leave this program, you are going to set out your individual dreams with timelines so that when, by the grace of God, Pastor Brian gives us the opportunity again next year for us to meet, some of you will be showcasing your dreams and how close you are to achieving it. God bless you, and thank you for the opportunity.